Hello everyone. In this series, I'm going to be helping you turn your stop motions from this to this. And in this episode, I'm going to talk about FPS and camera angles. In the next episodes, we'll get to lighting and audio, visual effects, stuff like that. But for now, we're just going to talk about the FPS and camera angles. So before we talk about that, there's a few things I recommend you get to help you. First, I recommend getting a tripod, and I'll put the links in the description. But this one comes with a button, and I just recommend buttons. It just helps you a lot. And with the stop motion app, you should get the paid version. You could start off with the free version, but I recommend the paid version for later, so you can import sounds and do other cool stuff. Now to the filming. So I recommend using a FPS of from around 10 to 13. 12 is my recommendation for like your primary. I sometimes swap around depending on the film. But anyways, let's just get into it. So I recommend this setting in the top left corner where you can, it shows you the onion of it. So it's called onion screen, but it showed you where your guy was, and then you could just barely move him. I recommend about half a head per shot. And then, you just kind of keep going. And then sometimes you can, change the distance you move them. So sometimes I go more, sometimes less. And then, I just kind of play with it. And then it looks really smooth. And then for position changing, I just place it right where it was. And then it just changes the position. Looks really smooth. And then for gunshots, I recommend moving him back about 2/3 of a head. And then moving him straight back. And then it just kind of gives that, recoil look. And then you could kind of do it differently if you want to, but that's just what I do. And then a way to give the effect that he's, aiming around is I just kind of slightly turn him a couple shots every few bullets he shoots. And then, it just kind of looks like he's aiming around and targeting different people. And then for turning, I do this thing where for the first shot, he barely moves. Second shot, he moves a bit more. And then by the third shot, he's already turned about 90 degrees. And then I just keep doing that until he's turned to where I want him. And then here I accidentally had my hand in a shot. And if that ever happens to you, just click on the frame and then delete it. And then just retake the shot. And it'll be like it never happened. And now just click the arrow in the top right. And then you can watch it. And it just looks so smooth. And I know I'm going to sound weird right now, but I have a method of how I move them. So when I do it, I put my hand down like this and just barely push it with my thumb. And this just helps you do it a lot better versus if you did it like this, then it messes it up a lot. And it can get angled and disoriented, and it just really messes it up. And it just shakes around. So I recommend just using that thumb and just keep going, and then it'll just be really smooth and clean and just a straight line. And then now we can check it out, and it's just really smooth, really clean, and the turning is perfect. It just looks really good. So now I want to talk about killing them, how much you move them per shot when they're falling. So first, let me just have them do a little shootout. And so I recommend getting sticky tack, or I lost mine, so I just use orthodontic wax right now until I find it again. But so you just take a little piece about this big, and then you just take it and put it on your figure. I recommend putting it on the side that the camera is not looking at, and then you just stick it down really hard, but it's kind of hard to do sometimes. And then you just kind of fix it, play around with it, get it down, and then you move it a little bit for the first shot, and then a lot more on the second shot. And sometimes if it doesn't work, then just put it more like on the very side, almost on the actual side of it completely. And then after you do that, then just keep trying until you finally get it. And then I finally got it, but you just keep going, and then I recommend doing it about a head and a half per shot, how far you move them down. And sometimes I add a slight angle, like a turn, to their fall. So instead of them just falling directly down, I kind of spin them as they fall. And it just kind of gives a more realistic effect of like the bullet hitting him. And then, yeah, just keep working with it until you finally get him on the floor. And then now if we click out and watch it, you could see it's pretty smooth. And then the fall is pretty good. And sometimes I like to delete every other frame just to kind of make it faster and more realistic. That looks better. And sometimes when there's a frame where it like doesn't change as much as it should, then that's where I delete it. And then you can see it's better already. And then I noticed this part right here is kind of slower than I want it. And if this ever happens to you, then just delete every few frames. Most likely every other frame. And that keeps it more smooth and more clean. And he just kind of like slides on the floor. And now it looks smoother if we watch it. And now I want to talk about camera angles. So if I make this with different camera angles than just like a straight on or straight above, and we have like this side angle, and then you like move it around and change it as you film, then it just is going to help it look a lot better and more interesting. And it's going to be way better if you do that. And there's this other thing I like to do with the camera where I move it every shot and I still do the actions below. And then it's like a pan around and it just looks really nice. And it can help you tell the story more. And it could help show people what's what and where it is and gives them a better perspective if you do. And now if we watch it, you could just tell that it's way harder to follow this. And less interesting than this. And yeah, that's all for this video. In the next videos, I'm going to be talking about lighting, sound effects, visual effects, and storytelling. And thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed, and subscribe.